just ask to join again, and then we'll put you back in. All right, so we're going to talk about Google Slides today. Google Slides is the equivalent to Microsoft PowerPoint. It's a presentation tool. In the Google world, however, Google Slides also works as a desktop publishing tool, sort of similar to Microsoft Publisher. And you can use it that way. So that's what tomorrow's class centers on, is how to use it to produce print materials rather than to present in front of an audience. Today's class is more geared towards using it to present to an audience. Okay. As we go through this, if you have questions, please unmute and ask them to me, and feel free to interrupt me. I don't get thrown off that easily when I have conversations in the middle of the class. I can pick up where I left off usually. Or you can type questions in the chat menu. I do have two computers open so that I can try to monitor your video and your chat while I'm also teaching the class. So feel free to drop comments in there, and occasionally I'll ask questions, and you can either unmute and answer, or you can type in the chat, just because I want to make sure that you guys are all still awake, because let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, only 9 of you are transmitting video currently, so the rest of you, I can't tell if you're actually focused or not. So I may occasionally ask you a question. All right, so how do we get to Google Slides is the first question usually. And there's 2 different ways to do it, one that I would tell you is wrong and one that I tell you is right. Okay, obviously when you click in Google Chrome and you are signed in with your Shen Schools account up here in the corner, you will, on a new tab, get what I call the Rubik's Cube. Some people call it the tic-tac-toe board. And when you click on that, Google Slides is an option. I've moved mine down to the bottom. You can click and hold on these to move them around. I've moved it down to the bottom because I don't like people to be using these 4 icons to access the Google Suites apps. I prefer you do it through Google Drive. So I've already got Google Drive open here, so I'll switch over to that tab. Google Drive is where we store all of our Google Suite files. We can also store videos, PDFs, pictures, anything we want in there. We have unlimited storage. You can see I have 89 gigabytes used for those of you who need to put that in some type of quantifiable amount. That is 44 times the amount of storage space they give you in your F drive at Shen that I have stored in my Google Drive. Okay, mainly because I do a lot of videos and send them out to staff. Okay, but unlimited storage in there, so it's a good place to keep things. This icon here is the Google Slides icon. So when you're looking through your folders, if you want to see your slide presentations, they'll have that icon on them. Or if you're in your Google Drive and you click on the search box and click the down arrow, you can say show me only presentations, which is Google Slides. And then what you see is every presentation that you've created or that's been shared with you by anyone in 6 years that we've been using Google. Okay, so there are lots of options there for making or viewing presentations. For us, we're just going to get started by doing a new one. We're in our drive. We've opened the folder where we want to store it, because in Google, you go to the folder first where you want to save something before you create it, because there's no saving in Google. It saves automatically. So I've got one set up here in my main folder to use with you, but you would click on New and go to Google Slides and start your presentation. If you want to start a slide from one of those templates, you can click on this little arrow and go to the template, and it'll pull up the Google Slides templates for you. Okay, we do have in that template library a Shen background one, and I think a Shen letterhead one are both in there as templates. Okay, and then some of the regular Google ones. Most people just click right here and go with the blank presentation, which is what I have here. All right, first choice, when you open up Google, it's going to ask you to pick a theme. There are a bunch of themes here. I do have a slight issue with a multinational, almost $1 trillion enterprise thinking these are the best graphic designs for your presentation. Some of them are really horrendous colors and they don't look well together. but these are the ones that Google comes with. Out of these, my favorite is the pop one and the geometric one. Those two designs, which are right next to each other, I think tend to be the easiest for people to read and focus on. However, you can import themes from presentations you've saved of other people's. So if I click on import theme and I give it a second, it will start finding all the presentations I have access to in my Google Drive, and I can click on any one of these to steal the theme from it. Okay, you can see one of the ones that I like a lot is called Puck with a P, for those of you who thought I stuttered. Okay, it's Puck, and I like this one. So that's the one I'm going to use for my theme for this demo lesson. So when I click on it, it says, hey, are you sure you want to use this theme? You say yes, and you click import theme. And now instead of having to use one of these 10 that they have over here, I've used that Puck one. It doesn't look any different right now because I now need to decide what slide layout I want to use. I click on layout here, and there are all the different Puck templates I can use, and we'll go with title slide for our first one. Okay, so once you pick a theme from that theme menu over here on the side, which you can toggle on and off using this little button here, you close it by clicking the X, open it by doing that. Okay, once you've picked a theme, you then have to decide how each slide in your presentation is going to be laid out. To do that, you simply make sure you're clicked on the slide over here in the slide menu. You come up here to layout, and you pick which type of form you want. Now, don't get stuck thinking, well, I don't want 2 columns, but I like that big green circle on the side. Any of the content you want to put on the slide can be deleted and removed once you get started. The only thing that can't get deleted and removed are those images that form the colors, because those are not actual elements on your slide. No matter how many times I click on these, I can't select them. The only thing I can select is where I'm going to add my title.
John, can I interrupt you for a second? Quick
Certainly
question.
can. Yep.
And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but is there a way to make it so that you don't have to have the same exact pictures? Like maybe I just want my first slide to have this, but the rest of the slides I might want to look different, or maybe just plain. Is there any way to do that?
You're slightly ahead of me because I haven't added a second slide yet.
Okay.
And so I think I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
But if I fail, interrupt me again, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. So somebody just posted some stuff. How did you search for just presentations? So when you're in your Google Drive, you click on this little arrow here that pulls down from the top. And then for the type of file, you tell it, I want just presentations. You can include other information, like for instance, I can say I want to see presentations. And then instead of presentations by anyone, I can say owned specifically by me. Or if I want to see the ones my boss has shared with me, I can say specific person and put in Elizabeth Wood. And then when I click search, what it'll show me in my Google Drive are only presentations that Elizabeth Wood has shared with me. Okay, so that was in the chat, so I didn't want to forget that. Can you write on Google Slides with your finger as you are presenting? No, under no circumstances. Even if you have a touchscreen Chromebook, you cannot use a stylus or your finger to write on Google Slides. It doesn't have that capability. So Elizabeth, you can tell them that it is in the calendar invite if they registered. If they didn't register, they can go to bit.ly/Shen remote teach, which is my virtual teaching presentation. I just put it in the chat, and that has links to all of these classes on the Shen provided training slide. Can you search the internet for another theme? Is there an easy way or advice? Slide Carnival has some of interest to me. Slide Carnival is the one I would recommend. If you just do a quick search in Google and say Google Slides themes, you'll get a couple sites. Slides Go is a good one. I've used that, and Slides Carnival is the other, and they come up as the top 2. When you're in one of these, what you literally do is you find the one you like. So if you like the dinosaur presentation, you click on it here, and then it takes you to a place where you can then download the Google slideshow. When you do that, what it's going to do is it's going to put this template into your Google Drive when you click on Use Template. And then you can either edit that one or leave it as is, and then import that theme as I showed you. So if I'm looking over here at my Google Drive and I go to here, you'll now see that that one I downloaded off Slide Carnival is here. And if I wanted to use that one on this presentation that I am doing, I would click on the theme button, which I've now lost. It's under slides and change theme. And then I would say import theme. That particular one was called Bagot. There it is. I select. And then I click on it here and say import. And now instead of buck, we have Bagot.
Excuse me.
Yes, Crystal.
So once that's imported, that's always in your.
Nope, you still have to use the
Slide.
import theme button next time you want to use it on a Google Slides presentation. You only get those crappy 12 that Google thought were good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
What I've done is I've created a folder on my drive where I put all of those Slide Carnival templates so that I have them all there so I can go back and look at the name of them if I need to so that I can find them and add them in the future. Okay. I've also started, and most of you don't have this added to your drive, but on the inside Shen drive, there is a folder called Shen Resources. And then there's one called Slides Templates. And so what I've done is as I download them, I tend to put them in that inside Shen folder. Those won't show up for you when you search in Google Slides unless you have the inside Shen folder added into your drive. And I am not going to show you how to do that right this second. If you want to know how to add the inside Shen folder to your Google Drive, you can stay at the end or send me an email and I can tell you how to do that. Okay. All right. So back over here to slides. And again, love it. Please stop me and ask me questions as we go. So that way you guys can get more out of this that's relevant for you. Okay. So we're in our demo presentation with our little baby dinosaurs as our theme now, which is making me smile and chuckle. So I'm going to close the side pane just so I have a little bit more room to work. All right. You'll notice that by default, Google Slides is set up in what they call a 16:9 format. That's the way most of our displays are now. If you're looking at a monitor on a desktop, it's 16:9. If you're looking at a modern LCD TV, it's 16:9. If you're projecting on a projector, it's 16:9. The only thing is that if you are converting a PowerPoint over into a Google Slideshow, PowerPoint still uses the old 4:3 that old TVs used. And so when you convert it to a Google Slide, sometimes you have to move stuff around. So if any of you have experienced that issue, where converting from a PowerPoint to a Google Slide, things don't look the same, that's the reason why. It's basically that ratio of width to height has changed over the years, and the default on PowerPoint is still 4:3. Okay, so we can change that. It's up here under File and Page Setup. Okay, if you wanted to make one that is 4:3, you can. You can even go to an even wider screen, 16:9, or pick any custom size. The custom size, by the way, the trick with that one is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, and that's desktop publishing. When I choose custom, I just set the size to 11.5 by 8, and it's the same as a sheet of paper. So if people print it, it then prints on paper. Okay, 16:9, what I'd suggest if you're going to be doing a public presentation. Does anybody know why you don't want to use 4:3 anymore? Type it in the chat, unmute, either one. What's wrong with using that old 4:3 format? What happens when you're presenting with it? You've all seen it. You just probably haven't made the connection. Well, here, let me show you. And then you can tell me. If I use 4:3, what problem am I going to have ultimately? 4x3, right? I'll switch back to 16x9.
It cuts off the bottom.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the opposite. And it's hard to tell because it goofed up that graphic when I switched. What it does is 16x9 is the full width of your screen. When you do 4x3, it's actually going to put what on both the left and the right side of your slide. I'll switch back one more time so you can see it. Actually, you know what? I'll make it even more obvious to you too. So if I'm presenting in 14x3, what's the problem? That's a 14x3 presentation you're looking at right there. Instead of 16x9. Anybody catch it this time? I'm gonna let you off the hook soon, but loses the wraparound, not centered, goes to one side. Nope, it puts black bars on both sides of the screen if you use 14x3. So the amount of screen real estate you're actually using when you're presenting is cut down by about 30% because you have two thick black bars, one going up the left-hand side and one going up the right-hand side. And we're in 16x9 now, so you don't see it, but all right. And you noticed how it goofed up our background when we switched to that. I wonder if I go back in, let's just see. Just want to see if it fixes the graphic on that title slide or not. Yep, it does. All right. All right. So this has pre-done content on it. This box on the top does contain text where I can type, but you'll notice that the way this theme was made, it put a white box there that I can't change and a background that I can't change. That's just the way the theme is. Okay, there are ways of editing that. I don't know that we'll get to them today, but you can add content to that. So if I wanted to put a logo up here in the corner, I can do that. Okay, you can put anything on top of the slide you want. Okay, the way you need to think as we start building our slides, and I'll show you how to add additional slides in a second, is you need to think of it as a layer cake. Okay, the first thing you do in a layer cake ultimately is going to be the thing that's on the bottom. Because as you add new layers, tiers to the cake, and as you frost it, those things that are underneath get covered up. Your slide builds the same way. You start from the bottommost layer and you build towards the foreground or towards closest to the viewer. So as you add things on here, they will indeed cover things that are underneath them because you are building a slide up in layers from the bottom up. So it's important to think about as you design your slide, what you want to be in the foreground and what you want to be in the background. You can right-click on things and change which layer they are in by sending them backwards or bringing them forward. So for instance, I could click on this demo presentation box, right-click, say order, and say bring it forward, and then it moves it in front of that shape that I just put on there in a second. Okay, so ordering the things on your slide is super important. Now, even if I take this box and I move it, it'll still be behind my presentation because that's the order it was put on the slide in. Okay, one of the neat things you can do in slides and many other programs is layer things in such a way that you get depth effects. So what I'm doing is I'm just carefully taking this object and I'm changing the size of it so that when I move it down here, notice those red lines snapping up. You know what that helps you do?
Center.
Yeah, it helps you center and align your things based on other elements on your slide. So I now know when I let go of my mouse, this little drawing box that I am going to drop is going to be exactly vertically and exactly horizontally centered because of those red guide bars. Okay. And so now what I've done is I've given my little title box there a little depth to it, because we had the white box in the background, we had the text in the foreground, and in between I slid an object that gave it depth. Okay. All right. So this is our first slide. Okay. We're going to add other slides, and as we do it, we'll show you different types of content you can add to them. Okay. So over here, we know we only have one slide because we can see it. Okay. If I hold down my control key and hit M for more, it will add another slide. If you don't like using the keyboard shortcuts, you can also click on slide, oops, new slide, right there at the top, which also shows you next to it, Control M means new slide. The more times you hit Control M, the more slides you add. Okay. Don't worry about the order of these slides. You can always click and hold on them over here in the slide menu and move them around. That won't make much difference right now because until I put some content on the slide, you can't tell that I'm actually moving it. So let me just real quickly in this one, I'm going to just put the number 3, and then I'm going to make it huge, and then I'm going to center it. And I'll center it within the box too. How about that? All right. So now you can see that slide 3 over here says 3. If I wanted to make this slide 5, I can click, move it down so that that little orange bar appears in between slides. And when I let go, that slide gets moved into the spot I want it in. Okay, so at any point in time, you can rearrange the order of your slides. You can also, in this slide outline over here, right-click on a slide and choose hide. Where is it? Why don't I see it? Let's see if it's up here. Maybe you can't anymore. That's interesting. You used to be able to hide the slides over here so that they wouldn't appear when you were in presentation mode. So I don't know where that went. I'll have to look afterwards. Google, as I said yesterday to some of you that were in that class, is constantly changing and updating their products. So you come in on a Tuesday and they update it on Monday and something's completely different. So sometimes you have to relearn things. All right. So anyway, reordering the slides simply is clicking and holding and dragging and dropping. Now you'll notice that as I added all these slides with the Control M, they all took on the same layout. Okay. If I want to change the layout of a slide, I simply click on it so it's highlighted over here in the left, come over here to my layout menu, and then I can choose any one of the layouts that are part of that theme. Okay. So we'll pick this one. This was the quote one. I wish I had a, oh, here, I was trying to think of a dinosaur quote since we've got a theme going here, but the only one I could think of dates me. So we'll put our quotes around it. And then we'll put in here attribution to who it belongs. Okay. So picking any layout for a slide allows you customized boxes to put it in. Okay. Whether you want 2 columns or not, doesn't matter, because you can always click on the frame of any of these elements that are part of a layout. Hit the delete key on your keyboard to remove that piece. Okay. If you don't want any of these things on the slide, almost every theme has a layout that is blank. Okay. You can see in this case, this one has 5 blank ones where there's no content boxes on there, just the background. Okay. So we'll take the T-Rex blank one. This theme is so cute. I'm having a lot of fun with it. All right. So you can choose the layout for your slide. So then how do we start adding our own content on here if we wanted to? All of that content for the most part, is up here under the insert menu. Okay, you can see we can insert images, we can insert a text box, we can insert a piece of audio, we can insert a video, although we are limited on video, but we're going to go through each of these. So then we have shapes, tables, charts, diagrams, word art. Okay, word art in Google is not word art in Microsoft. It is much more limited. So don't get too excited for those of you who loved your Microsoft word art. Okay, so we have a bunch of different things we can add here. Okay, starting with image, you can upload it from your computer, which means it's on the actual machine you're sitting at. You can search the web. When you search the web, Google only searches for content that is copyright free using that search the web tool. Okay, there's something called Creative Commons where when people put their stuff on the internet, they give other people rights to be able to use it. And that's what Google is looking at there, whether a picture has been tagged with Creative Commons. You'll notice that if you do a search here, which we will try, I knew I would spell it wrong. I do a Tyrannosaurus Rex search here, and then I copy that. And I go to Google Images and search there. I get a vastly different set of pictures. Okay, these pictures over here that you get inside the app are Creative Commons free. There's no copyright violation for using them. The ones over here, some of them are owned by different organizations and they have not allowed other people to use them for free. Okay, but there is a much broader depth to it here. Okay, you can see the Guardian, the BBC News, those appear in here where you won't see them over here in the search pane. So good to use with students, just to use the search pane. Okay, also in that insert image menu, you can go directly to your drive. You can go to your Google Photos account, which we don't use at Shen. It's disabled in a lot of cases. You can use a URL where if you find a picture on the internet and you just take the address up here on the bar, it will insert it into your presentation. Or you can take a picture with your camera that's built into your device, your Chromebook, your web camera, etc. Okay, so obviously that picture would be of whatever's sitting in front of the camera at the time. All right, when I add one of these over here, if I click on it and click the insert button, it'll put it on here at the resolution that the photograph is at. You can obviously click in the corner here and drag in to change it. Most of the time, it's going to do that proportionally. It's not going to let you drag it from the side and distort it. If you want to drag it and make sure you're dragging it proportionally, if you hold down the Shift key and drag it, it won't let you distort the picture. It'll always keep it in the ratio that the original is at. So if you're trying to resize a picture without distorting it, hold the Shift and use one of the corners to do it. Okay, so now we got T-Rex and T-Rex here. Okay, any object that's on your slide can have other things done to it. So when you put an object on your slide, you'll notice up here it changed this bar. Before, this bar had my theme and my layout because I had clicked on a slide. Now that I've clicked on an image, I now get options having to do with that image. Okay, I can replace the image. I can format it. When I format it, whole kinds of bars come up. So like if I want to put a drop shadow underneath this guy, we'll make it purple so you can see it. And then we'll make it a little bit farther out from the picture. Okay, and then we can change the amount of blur it has around the sides even. Okay, all of these options for the object you just clicked on are up here under format options for what you just selected. You can also come into size and rotation and you can say lock aspect ratio and then say I want to make it half as big. And it will do the same thing we did by holding down Shift and dragging from the corner, which is it'll scale it proportionally because we've locked the ratio here. Okay, I'm going to put that back to 100% so it's easier for you guys to see. Okay, in fact, I'm going to make it even bigger. Any object that you add to your slide, whether it's a text box, an image, anything, will have this little button here that when you click and hold down your mouse, allows you to rotate that image. Okay. It rotates the whole box that it's part of. Okay. When you've selected an image, yes?
Sorry, can you take the background out behind that dinosaur or no?
The white?
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, I know there's remove.bg or something, and you can take the backgrounds out, but I wondered if you could do it directly through Google instead of having to do that.
I'm thinking about it. My guess is no. I don't think that's a formatting option.
Okay.
There's a recolor, and recolor does like it'll change the tonality of the object itself, so I can make that dinosaur green instead of gray.
Okay.
But I don't think there's any way to drop out the background here. You'd have to do it in another application.
Okay.
Pixlr, Pixlr. Pixlr is an online image editing program that's free.
Oh, okay, great. All right, thank you.
Kristen, that won't change this background because this is solid white. So even if I add another box behind it, it's going to be behind this whole entire box. So that won't work if I'm understanding you correctly. Okay. In Microsoft, you do have the ability to edit a picture where you can click on the white and it would make it transparent, which is what we really want to do. But I don't think that option exists in Google. I could be wrong, but I don't think it exists. I was going to show you this crop here. When you click on this crop tool and you move this in, sorry, I didn't do it right. When you click on the crop tool, you got to catch that little black box and you can crop the image to take out some of the extraneous stuff if you want. Then you click on it again and it crops the image that way. Okay. There's also a much more fun way to crop an image, which is instead of clicking on the main crop tool, you click on this little mask image arrow that's right next to it. And then you come in and you pick a shape. So we're going to pretend like I'm a 4-year-old. I know it's a stretch, but oh, come on, where is it? I'm looking for the heart. They get rid of that shape too? Well, we'll go with the smiley face instead. Okay, so it literally crops the image to the shape that you selected. You can barely see the little eyes there. Probably should have chose a different one that's a little bit better. Let's do it on a triangle. Okay, so you can crop any image using a shape if you want. As all, Control Z is undo. So if you hit Control Z enough times, it'll bring you back to where you were. What was your question, Crystal?
What was the tool that you used to change the dinosaur green?
So in the format options,
Okay.
one of the options is this recolor here. So when you drop down that menu, it shows you all the different shades that you can change an image. Okay, it's not a perfect tool. Sometimes it wipes out too much detail.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, but it's recolor over there in the format menu. Okay, so now I've got what? Anybody want to say it or sing it?
Barney.
Yes, I've got a purple dinosaur. I've got Barney. Didn't even think about that when we were doing it, but we've got Barney now. Thank you for not singing it, by the way. All right, so that's image. So insert, image, and you have a whole bunch of places where you can go to get those image. That search from the web, like I said, copyright-free images. Okay, text box. This is why I tell people not to get too hung up on those slide layouts, because you can add whatever elements you want. So if I click on text box, I come up here in the top. I can then, oop, I thought I had the word Tyrannosaurus Rex in my copy. I did not. So I can put a text box up here. I'll pop back over to my Google search, so I don't have to try to spell Tyrannosaurus again. And now I'll paste it into my text box. Okay. I'm not going to do all these little tools for you guys. I'm hoping that at this point we've all played with different products and that we know that we can change the size just by clicking on this. Or you can click right in the box and it pulls down the menu. Or you can type right in here. So I want 47.5 because I want it to fit in an exact space, and I'm going to keep going down in half font increments until I get it to fit. Okay, so you can type whatever number you want, plus, minus, click in the box. Your choice of fonts is here. Okay, I would try to keep your list of fonts somewhere under 30 because the more fonts you have, the slower Google works. Okay, if you didn't understand what I'm just saying, is don't get carried away with adding fonts. Google gives you about 20 to start with. You can add others as you want. Whenever you add a theme, it brings that font in as part of the theme. Ballada is not one I had before. It's part of this theme. If you want to see what other fonts are available, at the very top of the font menu is more fonts. And then Google literally has probably thousands in here. Okay, if you want to restrict this list, you can say, show me the fonts that are only Arabic or only Cyrillic in shape or only in whatever other language you want. Okay. You can also say, I want ones that only look like handwriting. Then it shows you only ones that look like handwriting. You can sort by popularity, alphabetical, ones that are trending, which means people are starting to use them more or starting to use them less. Okay, so you can just click on a font and then it becomes added to your list of fonts. If you want to get rid of one, you can also just click on it and remove it from your pull down list of fonts. Okay, so I would manage
Will
it.
that,
Go ahead.
sorry, will that stay in every slide? Like if I take out a font or add a slide, will that stay that way for Google Docs, Google Slides, Google, everything?
It stays that way for Google Slides. I'm not sure if it crosses over from Docs to Slides.
Okay.
But fonts you add or fonts you remove from that menu should stay in that menu for you for the future.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. And a lot of the popular ones, Calibri, Comic Sans, Arial, Times New Roman, those are all there. Okay. So I would say find your happy font family and eliminate down and stick to that as much. Too many choices is too big a problem. Having kids design Google Slides presentations or PowerPoint presentations, I used to tell them when I was a classroom teacher, you can use no more than 3 fonts in your entire presentation, period. I also used to restrict them on the number of colors they could use for font boxes or for shape boxes because they'll use everything under the sun. Okay, so try to keep it. That's why they have these themes, that they want to make things look graphically similar from slide to slide so they aren't jarring. Okay. So you can easily, just like in any other program, highlight text and change its color right here. Okay. Here's the colors that are part of the theme. So the shapes that are around the outside are made out of those colors. Here are the custom colors you might have created in the past, and clicking on this plus will bring you to a screen where you essentially get 16.9 million colors you can use. You slide this bar on the bottom, you then slide this dot up here, and it gives you the exact color you will be using. So I just changed half of that text to a different color just by selecting it and doing that. All right, so highlight color, it literally is what it sounds like. I don't like highlight color, but if you take a part of your thing and you come up here and you use highlight, it will actually highlight it in that color. The reason why I don't like it is it's sometimes hard to get rid of. Usually you just have to click on transparent. In some Google applications, though, it's hard once you put a color on a highlight like that to get rid of it. All right, if I wanted to take this whole entire piece of text or this image and connect it out to more information about T-Rexes. So let's see. Natural History Museum of Chicago. Because if I remember, they have a giant T-Rex, and I want to say her name is Sue. It's the Field Museum. All right, so I go out, I grab the website, I come back over here into my presentation. I can click on the image and then click on this link tool right here and then paste in that address I just copied. And now this image allows me to click on it and go out to that website from my presentation. I can do the same thing with text. The only catch is when I highlight text and I link it, what's going to happen? I'll do it. See if somebody shouts it out or types it in the thing.
Changes color.
It's going to change color. Yeah. So see how the text says Tyrannosaurus Rex? That's the text. Here's the link. When I apply it, it changes color. It changes color based on that theme. In the theme, links are all said to be given the same color. Now, that doesn't mean I can't go back in and highlight part of it and change it back to purple, and then highlight this part and change it back to black. However, it's automatically going to change to that color when you link it. You can also remove the underline just by highlighting it and go like that twice, and it will remove the underline. It is still a hyperlink. People can still click on it. There's the link. Okay, I wouldn't recommend removing the underline only because that usually indicates to people text that is a hyperlink, but that's just me. Sometimes design trumps usefulness. Okay, so that's a little bit about this text box tool here. Okay, you can put another text box underneath it, type whatever text you want in here about a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I didn't cleverly go out and pull a whole bunch of texts about dinosaurs because I didn't know I was going to be using this theme, but you can type whatever text you want here. Now, with a text box, just like any of the shapes, that box can be filled with a color. Up here is the paint bucket tool. The paint bucket tool says take any shape or a text box and allow me to fill it with color. So in this case, our background is a beige, so we're going to go with a custom color. And I'm not good at this, but yeah, I find it really hard to find the exact color I want often. It's not bad. I wanted a darker beige. You can do this too. You can come out here into Google, and this is the advanced for you. Hex color code for beige. And then what you'll get is usually a return where it says E1C699. So if I come back over here and I go back into my screen for filling that, and I come back down here to my custom color, and up here at the top, I type in E1C699. I then get that beige that I found over here. Okay, so hex colors is what those codes are. And so if you have a color that you really like and you know what the hex code color of it is, you can use it. There's also Google extensions you can go out and download and install that allow you to click on an eyedropper on any color that's on your screen and get the hex code for it. I'm not going to do that right now either because I don't want to make this too advanced a class. Okay, but you can do, they're called, the one I use is called Color Picker, I think. Okay, so you can change the shade of any box that's on your screen, whether that's a shape. There's a bunch of different shape tools. I'm going to use one of them. I just thought of something, so. Okay, so this is a thought bubble. When you click on, double click on it, you can then type on it. Okay, and then you can give that animal a thought bubble. Just like any other shape, though, that thought bubble can also be filled with a color. So if I want to fill it with a light purple because I have a purple dinosaur, okay, I can do that. All right. All of these objects that we placed on the slide can be animated. I'm always struggling with whether or not I want to show you animate, but I'm going to because it's a major part of presentations. I'm going to just tell you, I think you should use it judiciously because animations can tend to distract people from the message you're trying to convey. So if you have too many things moving around, it's not going to be good. Okay. The best use of animate is to have things appear on the slide as you talk about them, which means either you set them on a timer or you set them on a mouse click so that they come in when you click or they come in after 5 or 10 seconds. Okay. Timer is tough because you have to be very practiced and you can't get interrupted, obviously. Okay. I'm going to pause for 1 second and just check our questions in the chat and make sure I haven't missed any. All right. So here's the animate feature. Over here on the side, I click on animate. Now, because this is the object I had selected, it comes up over here with the ability to animate it. You can see the animations that it comes with appear, fade in, fade out. Okay. And then you have the choice of whether you want to set it to on click, after previous, or with previous. So I'm going to set it to on click. And then I'm going to play this animation so you can see. So when the slide comes up, it won't be there because I said, wait till I click to bring in that box of text. Okay, so that's what animate does. And you have a whole bunch of different animations that you can do. Okay, you got fade in, you got fly around the screen, you got zoom in, you got spin. Don't use spin. Please don't use spin. Okay, unless you're trying to sell a used car or have somebody fill out their taxes at your business, nothing should be spinning around in circles. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? That Progressive commercial where he spins the arrow. Okay, that's what that effect looks like. Okay, fade out allows you to click something and have it remove itself from the slide. There is no reason why you can't fade in, click on the same object, add in another animation, and then say fade out. Okay, so when this animation plays, it's not there on our slide. I click, it comes in. I'm done talking about it. I click again and it disappears. Okay, so every object on your slideshow can be animated, and every object on your slideshow can be animated more than once. Okay, putting those animations together and putting them in the right order over here is sometimes difficult. These 6 dots are the drag and drop to rearrange the order of your animations for that one slide. When you switch to the other slides in your presentation, those animations aren't there because those objects are not on your slide. They're on that slide. All right. So you've got a bunch of things put together on your slideshow, and you're going to present it to an audience. 2 things I wanted to talk about with presentation. I know we're running out of time. I went a lot longer than I thought I was going to. Down here, this is where you can put your notes. They don't appear on the screen for presentation mode. And unless you're running 2 screens, you won't see them. Okay, there is a way to run it in a 2-screen mode where on one screen, your computer, it shows you the notes. And on the other screen, the projector, it shows you the slideshow. Okay, I'm not going to really demonstrate that right this second, but if I wanted to, T-Rexes were the top of the food chain in the Jurassic era. Not park, because it doesn't really exist. It's a movie. All right. So I've got my notes there. So now I've got my slideshow all decked out, and I want to actually present it to a group of people. Up here is your presentation button and tool. Okay. So this presenter view is the thing that we were talking about, where on one screen it would show you your notes, and on the other screen it would put up the presentation. Okay. Presenting from the beginning or present on another screen using a Chromecaster options. I'm just going to say present here, and it's going to start my presentation on the slide I'm currently on and bring it up. Now when I click, it goes to the next slide. If I move my mouse down here to the bottom left-hand corner when I'm in presentation mode, it'll bring up a toolbar of what I can do in this presentation. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these options, but I do want to show you this pointer option, because what it does is it brings up a red dot where you can move your mouse and highlight things for the audience. It's like a laser pointer, only it's using your mouse. As soon as you go back down here to the corner, you can click on that tool again to shut it off. You also have the ability to advance your slides here or to drop down and choose any slide within your presentation. Okay. This one has a title because it had a title box on it. If I had typed in the templated layout title boxes instead of deleting them, they would have also appeared here. Okay. So I click to go to my next slide. Oops. All right, and this is the slide that's sitting there waiting for me to click to bring in the box, and then I click again. If I want to get out of this, I can come down here and choose exit. I can also hit the escape key on my keyboard to get out of it. If you turn on captions, what it will do is as you talk, it uses your microphone and it puts your voice below the slides. So this is very useful if you're giving a presentation and somebody has a hearing disability in the room. Okay, won't save this anywhere. It's not part of the presentation, but it takes your audio comments and puts them in a spot on the screen that they can be read by the people sitting in the room. Okay, if they're viewing this presentation on their own copy of Google Slides, in other words, you've shared it with them and they're looking in their screen while you're talking on your screen, they will not see these captions. Everything's a toggle. All right, so I'm gonna hit escape. Takes me out of there. I'm back in my editing mode here. Okay. Why don't we do a quick round of questions? I'm sure I didn't get to all of the features in Google Slides, but I wanted to get to the point where you could start building a slideshow that looked pretty good and had your content in it. How did you select the object to animate again? So it's as simple as just clicking on the object and then opening the animate menu. In fact, when you click on an object versus when you're clicked on the slide over here, when you're on the slide, notice animate is not a choice. When I click on an object on the slide, animate comes up right here. Okay, it's also, I think, in one of these menus up here. I think it's insert animation. Okay, but I usually just do it by clicking on the object, clicking animate here so the box pops up on the side, and that gives you all of your different choices of how you're going to do it. Notice it also has, the animate menu has the slide transition. Slide transition is when it goes from slide 2 to 3. How does it do that? Fade out, fade in. Okay, that's right here. You can control how fast or slow it fades in and out, or you could have the slides dissolve or flip, or there's all different kinds of ways to go from one slide to the other. Again, I think I made my feelings clear. The least number of distractions from your message are the best way to design a slideshow professionally. How do you add audio, your voice? Okay, audio in Google is a little tricky. They didn't actually even have it for the longest time. It is, oh, voice type speaker notes, that's new. Let's click on it and see what it does. These are the notes for the Tyrannosaurus Rex slide. It just types them down there in your speaker notes box. So that's not what we want. It's going to be up here, insert audio. That's how you insert audio, like if you wanted to put a file or a narration on here. But notice that it's not a record it. You have to go out to your drive and add it. Okay, so it has to be something you record elsewhere. If you are planning on redoing a recorded Google Slides presentations because you want to make a video of it, what I would do is go into another program like WeVideo. I would import each of my slides into WeVideo and then narrate using that tool. When you're in Google Slides, if you come up here to File and you go to Download, you can say download every slide as a picture, which you can then insert into WeVideo. Or your other option is use a program that allows you to record your entire screen, like Screencastify, or we video also. Open the presentation in present mode and talk while you're presenting through it. Okay. I find this tool here, the insert audio one, a little bit buggy. Oh, insert video. I told you I'd show you that. Let me just real quick. Insert video, because you have two choices: YouTube or your Google Drive. Those are the only two places you can insert video files from. So if you find video elsewhere on the web, you cannot add it into your presentation as a video frame. So let me go insert Google Drive. Let me pick my digital whiteboard class I did the other day. Plop it on here. It's bigger than my slide, so I got to resize it down so that it fits on my slide. Okay. This would be play. It would play right on the slide. I could pause it. I could stop it. It plays right in here. If your video is from a different source, you could put Vimeo video of Justin Bieber. And then you could highlight that text, hit the link tool, and link it out to that other video. But it would take you out of your presentation, over to that website, and then load that video on that other website. It wouldn't stay within the presentation boundaries. But in Google Slides, you get two types of video: YouTube and or stuff that's saved into your Google Drive. All right. Verbal questions while I look back through the chat questions.
John, I just wanted to ask again about the audio. So I teach first grade, and we do foundations. So if I have a picture there, I just want to input my voice to say the picture, like shell or drum. I did a Screencastify, but that worked, but I was looking for more audio to show, to say the picture. I didn't know if there was anything.
Send me an email, so when I have a few minutes, I'll look for you and find an easier way.
Okay.
I don't think there's a way in Google to just really quickly record your voice. There used to be, but it doesn't look like there is anymore.
Yeah, I was looking, and I just ended up doing a Screencastify of myself.
Yeah.
Saying the word.
You could, I can give you other ideas. I don't know how technical you are. Like, you could use a voice recorder, like on your phone, to record your voice, and then take that file and put it in your Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
That's one way I can think of off the top of my head, because then you could go to insert audio here, and then go to your Google Drive and find that file and click on it.
Oh, okay. I could do that too.
So you see how it says voice note.wave? That's one way around it. There used to be a way, though, and Google's just been adding audio slowly into Google Slides. There was a way for a brief time where you could actually talk and it would record it and put it right on the slide. But they may have removed it. I'll look. Send me an email.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yep. Oh, we didn't talk about that at all. So the last question, Melissa, is when you add video to your presentation, do you have to be careful with sharing in terms of giving access? So if you add video by going insert video and you choose a file that's on your Google Drive, people will not be able to see or play that video in this Google slideshow unless they have access to that video on your Google Drive. So I think that's what Melissa was asking, and you're right. You have to go into your Google Drive and make sure you give access to that too. So if I share this presentation with people, oh, that wasn't supposed to start till March 26th. The new sharing menu is now available here at Shen. It's supposed to be my newsletter on Friday, but it looks like it got here early because this is a completely different screen than what you used to see. If you guys aren't familiar with the sharing screen, it's brand new.
Yeah, I noticed that today when I was trying to share some stuff. I was like, this is different.
Yeah, I have an announcement all ready to go in our Friday newsletter that says it's supposed to start on March 26th or May 26th, excuse me. Apparently, somehow it got here early. So I'm gonna have to experiment with this and do a quick little video on that. But down here is where, when you're giving access, you can give access to anyone at Shenandoah Central Schools. So if it's a video that you're going to use as part of a presentation, then you want other people who are viewing that presentation on their own to be able to watch the video, you should make sure you set this down here to anyone at Shenandoah Central Schools can view. Not the presentation, but the video. Yep.
This is Angela. I did see this link the other day because I created a slideshow for my class. And so they were able to have all of the slides, but they weren't able to view any of my videos unless I went into my drive and gave them each access to each of the videos, which was kind of a pain in the butt.
No, go into your drive.
Yeah.
And give access to anyone who has the link to the video. So if I'm in my drive here and I come down here to my video folder.
Okay.
Come on. My Google Drive's been slow today. So I've got this one here. I want to share it with a whole bunch of people by putting it in a presentation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it and say share. And then I'm going to come down here into this bottom box, and where it says restricted, only people added can open this link. I'm going to say change this link to Shenandoah Central Schools. And what that does is it now makes that video available to anyone that's signed in with the shenschools.org address.
Right,
Okay.
but some of these parents don't have the Shen schools, like they're accessing it through.
Okay, so then if you're not worried about people outside of Shen viewing it, instead of saying Central Schools, you click here and say anyone with the link.
Okay.
And then that makes it available for anybody in the world to view that video from your Google Drive, but they would have to have some link to it, whether it's in a presentation or whether you email it to them.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Just
And
change
then how do you, I also commented, so when I present to my class, I was able to present the Google slides, but I couldn't see them. Like right now I see your presentation on the right, and then I can see other people or vice versa. I could see it on the left and I could see people on the right. I wasn't able to see them.
So you can't. Here's how I'm seeing you guys.
Oh, okay.
I've got two computers, both signed into the Google Meet.
Got it. Okay.
One where I'm keeping the view in that grid view so I can see you guys and try to answer your questions, and one where I have my presentation mode on my other machine so I can teach you what I wanted to teach you about.
Bummer. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Just make sure if you do that on one of the two machines, you have to make sure you mute your microphone.
Right.
And then shut off the speaker volume, or you'll get that feedback loop.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. All right. More questions? You can use your phone and laptop, Melissa is saying, Angela.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
So tomorrow I'm going to do another class with Google Slides, but tomorrow we're going to concentrate on, instead of using it as a presentation tool, how you can use it to make very graphically oriented handouts and paperwork that you want to print out and give to people. I use it now to make all of our top tips cards. Okay, so that's tomorrow's 3 o'clock class. Okay, guys, thank you for coming, and hopefully it was worthwhile to you. Feel free to reach out to me, send me emails, or drop into my Google Hangout if you have questions or need help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thank
you. Are you going to show us how to put the Inside Shen in our drive?
Sure, I can. Let me first turn off the recording, which I remembered to start